already.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Anderson Analysis. This is Mike Anderson. Unfortunately, Jasmine is not here with us today, but she will be here with us in spirit. And joining me is Bob Nordin and Tom Vasile.
Correct.
Right? And I'm going to let them do a little introduction from themselves. Bob, if you don't mind.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mike. My name is Bob Nordin. I live in Rockaway, White Meadow Lake, Rockaway Township, for close to 23 years. We love it out there. We were in Patterson when we were married. My wife had a job at St. Joseph's.
Oh, you were in Patterson?
Mm-hmm.
No, my whole family's from Patterson.
13 years.
Actually.
Yes. Actually, I grew up, I was born and raised in San Francisco.
Oh.
And I lived in the town where Highway 1, south of San Francisco, starts. Pacifica. Great place to grow up.
It's a beautiful city.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, it was.
Yeah. I have fond memories of San Francisco. Went to school there and ran around the town there quite a bit.
Awesome.
I was there. But when I was 5, raised in a Catholic home, my mom introduced me to Jesus Christ, and when I looked at the picture, I knew that I wanted Jesus.
Oh.
And so my life with him started from there. I wanted to be a priest. I tried to get into the priesthood, took the exams, but they didn't accept me. I was a poor student.
Oh.
Yeah. So in any case, after high school, wasn't doing too much. Joined the Navy when I was 21. I'm a Navy veteran. Enjoyed my time there. And then I was stationed out of Norfolk and recommitted my life to Jesus when I was down there. Then moved up to New York City. Met my wife at a church there. And
in New York City.
In New York
City.
City.
Okay, not like Patterson, like, New York City.
In New York City. Yeah,
Gotcha.
living on the west side
Proper.
in the late 70s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun times, right?
Yeah, Midtown, 48th Street, 46th Street, and 10th Avenue. So quite a fun time there with the young people out of the church. We were hitting the streets, talking to young folks about the Lord, and prayed with hundreds, right on
Excellent.
the street. Yeah, was very,
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. So we moved to New Jersey. Well, actually, I first moved with some young guys from the church, and then when Francesca and I were married in '83, we moved to Patterson. We were there 13 years, homeschooled our children, and then moved to Rockaway, and we put them in the high school there. They did very well, went on, and they're doing well. Our 2 daughters live in Rochester and doing pretty good.
Excellent.
I was carpenter and then drove truck for 7 years, and then back to carpentry with the Carpenters Union, which I'm very proud to have had time there. Unions get a bad rap, but maybe because of their politics, but the training and the work was hard and honest, and it was good. The men work very hard for what they do there, and giving the contractors they work for the best possible. If you didn't do it right, they made you take it apart and redo it.
That's good.
Oh, yeah, it's very high bar.
Good.
Yeah. So retired from the Carpenters Union now a few years, and enjoying the volunteer work with Convention of States, which I've been with Convention of States 5 years.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it, and thank you for the service as well.
Yeah.
And Tom, a little bit about yourself.
Simpler life for me.
You didn't move around as much.
Didn't. Born and raised in, actually I was born in Brooklyn and moved to Wallington when we were just kids. And my father worked in New York, then took a job in Wallington. Then his old boss wanted him back, so he went back to New York, and we stayed in Wallington.
Nice.
But I grew up here, and have my dad was an upholsterer, had a shop. He was our disciplinarian, ran the scouts. Mom was the school teacher. So it was fun because I kind of learned the discipline side of my life from my dad, and I learned the compassionate side from my mother. You know,
Right.
if
That's the way it's supposed to be, right?
Right.
at our one meeting before you had attended ours, two of the ladies that handed out flyers. My mother was their grade school teacher.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But-
It's a really small world around here,
It is.
as
It is.
as you notice.
That's why my mom always said, you got to behave because somebody I know.
Knows, yeah, is
Knows
watching.
you.
They're watching me. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, my dad was a cop in the town that I grew up in, so there was nothing secret. You couldn't get away with anything.
Right.
Yeah, but I went on my own after a few years. I've been involved in real estate and commercial lending for the last 30 some odd years.
Awesome.
And I actually got involved with the Convention of States at a time when I was really getting a little depressed about electing people to offices and nothing was going on. And I said, what's the solution? And then I met Bob and Francesca, and Francesca, his wife, blew me away at the second meeting I attended, explaining how the Constitution was put together. And we'll probably cover some of that.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
But that was the turning point for me, realizing that it wasn't who we elect that's going to make the difference. It's actually the people.
Right.
And that's basically it.
Excellent. Okay. Sounds good. We both. Sorry, guys. We both. Both of you guys alluded to the fact of Convention of States, and that's really why we're here, to learn about what exactly the Convention of States is, the Convention of States movement. Would you consider it a movement? It's more of a
Yes.
movement than, I mean, because there is an actual Convention of States, but I feel like it's a movement, a Convention of States movement leading to a Convention of States, right? I mean, ultimately, that's kind of what we're shooting for.
Yes, we've seen many movements over the decades, different organizations coming and going, like the Tea Party.
Right.
That was something of a movement. And I think one aspect of what describes a movement is people getting involved in a passionate way where they're not being paid. It's not,
Right.
they're volunteering. They're just getting
They believe in it. Yeah.
Right. They're getting moved to action.
Right.
And I'll say this: what I found with Convention of States as a movement in itself, I always look for something. What is the movement tied to? What is the support factor in
Right.
in a movement?
Right.
And it's actually the Constitution. And there's a foundation. So I can sink my teeth into that.
Sure. Yeah.
So what's been happening, what I've seen is a lot more people getting involved in Convention of States understand the Constitution better than your average person out on the street.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me because you kind of have to, if you're going to get involved in it, you probably should know the Constitution better than the next guy or girl, for that matter.
Yeah.
But so let's get right down to brass tacks. Let's start off, and just maybe explain what the Convention of States is, like what exactly it is, because I know many people hear about it and just
Well, the Convention of States, as it pertains in Article 5 of the Constitution, is the states' rights to call for changes. Now, what I try to explain to people is simple. We had our first Convention of States when the Constitution was formed.
right.
The states got together. The states debated it. The states put together. They argued. They fought. And they finally came up with a formula and said, you know what? This could be our Constitution for our unified government, our central government. And basically from that, the states themselves gave away some power and some authority was limited. In fact, in the our little Constitution book, which we always carry with us, and it says the powers delegated to the proposed Constitution of the federal government are few and defined, and those which remain with the states governments are numerous and indefinite. So what we had in the beginning was a convention of states because the states held the power.
Right.
That's basically all it is that states have the authority. The federal government was supposed to be smaller.
Right.
And serve its purpose.
Right.
Over time, what we've seen is the federal government has grown. It's just blown up. It's gigantic.
Right.
And what happened then to the rights of the states? When one gains power, one has to
Lose power. Right, of course.
And that's where we're at. So that's what Convention of States in Article 5 of the Constitution says we do have the right.
Got it.
To express ourselves and our desires. And that's what a Convention of States really is the states getting together.
Gotcha. Do you have anything you want to add to that, or is that pretty...
Oh, no, that's wonderful. And the Convention of States movement is people gathering to move towards a convention, to petition their state legislators to call a convention for proposing amendments to the Constitution.
Right.
Right. So everything that Tom was saying is absolutely correct. What are we doing with the organization? We have volunteers in all the state legislative districts throughout the country. That's a lot of districts.
Right.
A lot of people.
Right, yeah.
A lot of people involved. And that is proof of our movement. We've got like 5 million supporters.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Oh, yes.
Okay. That was one of the questions I have, is if we have a rough idea of how much support there actually is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you said, like, we kind of have an overview of what the Convention of States is, or what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to give the states the ability to ratify the Constitution or amend the Constitution.
We're talking about a meeting to propose amendments.
Propose amendments. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So I guess one of the big questions is, for me, especially when I first got involved and started, learning about it, is how do you do that? Like, what is that process? How do you, because I know you were talking about legislatures, but break it down as to someone that just has no idea.
Right.
This is their first civics class. What do they do?
Right. Okay. In 2013, Michael Ferris and Mark Meckler teamed up and wrote the resolution that we submit to the state legislatures.
Okay.
So that hasn't changed. It has 3 parts to it. Asking for term limits, fiscal restraints, and federal overreach, or to rein in the federal overreach.
Right. And that can never be changed, right?
That will never be changed.
Right.
Those 3 parts will never be changed, and every application from each state will have that language in it.
Right.
So
it's got to be consistent throughout every legislation.
Or to aggregate. Yes.
Okay.
It must match.
Got it.
In order to be able to qualify for the convention.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you write your legislators. They have to either sign off on or agree to have.
Right. So
To those 3 specific points.
Can I?
Yes, go ahead.
Let me just take it from the beginning. What we need and what we look for are people that will agree with the need for a change.
Right.
They can go online to Convention of States. They can read as much as they want. Everything is an open book right in there.
Right.
And there's a petition. And it says, I support Convention of States, and it explains things. And if they select to send their vote in, now, no matter what state, it will go to the legislators of that state.
Got it.
So the whole thing is to have a country having as many signatories as possible going to all the legislators.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are the ones that have to bring the proposal forward.
Sure. Now, could they choose not to?
Yeah.
Like that's where my disconnect is. Like, understandably, you could get 1 million people to write into your legislators saying that I want to hold a convention of states and have a vote on the 3 pieces of legislation that you want amended in the Constitution, right? That's fair to say. Now, do the legislators, what would sway a legislator to say, yes, let's do it, or to say, no, we're not going to do it?
Well, if he agrees.
If he agrees.
I mean,
So it's if they agree with the statements.
With the resolution.
With the resolution.
All that's in the resolution. Of course.
Okay.
I mean, the state legislators deal with lots of issues that are brought to them. And the way that it's brought is that any organization or even citizens could write a resolution or approach their legislator with an idea, and if he likes it, he can write it up.
Got it. Right. Okay.
Or a bill, because the state legislators are dealing with hundreds of things.
Sure.
All throughout the year.
Right.
And they're voting on these things constantly, up or down.
Okay.
So our resolution in New Jersey sits in 2 committees, in the Assembly and the Senate.
Got it.
At the moment.
Okay.
The one thing that would have people take more notice as a legislator is the increased volume of petitioners.
Right. Yeah, your constituents.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if more constituents are asking for change and wanting some resolution to the situation we're in,
right,
you'll get more respect and more of a response.
Right.
If you have more people. And that's why we're very active in getting petitions.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that makes total sense, and that's the way the system is supposed to work. But, again, playing devil's advocate here, sometimes, actually a lot of times anymore with anything to do with government, they're not really listening to the majority of the people. They're not listening to even they're doing what they need to do for themselves. And that is, to me, the scariest part. I think this is a great thing. I think the Convention of States is like the founders wrote it. They put it in there for a reason. And like I think I had told you before, this is a weapon that we have that I think we should learn how to wield. And I think we are wielding it. It's just, I think getting like this audience and getting like people that we want to get on board with this to fully understand what exactly it means. Because I mean, again, I've been I've helped out. I've gone to meetings. I've read about it on my own, and it's still confusing. I think it takes a little while to really wrap your head around Article 5.
Right. Well, Article 5 is very simple. It's one small paragraph. And
it really is tiny, though.
It really is. And
so is the Constitution.
Yeah,
so
sure,
is the Constitution. What has made it so confusing is maybe the simplicity, but the fact that our Constitution that is worked by today is thousands of pages, 3,000 pages or better, and those are all Supreme Court rulings, which we treat as law, but it really isn't law. But that's a whole nother... It's
a different argument.
Yes. So,
different podcast.
Yeah. But, right, so it starts with the people.
Right.
Convention of States starts with the people, and that's why we call it a movement. And it goes to the legislators. The founders wanted the power to be with the people. The consent of the people.
Agreed.
Which is what's written, right. So we take it to the legislators, and the legislators will argue, debate, listen to testimony, argue and debate some more, and then make a vote. So first in committee, in the Assembly and the Senate, and then once those committees vote up, then it goes to the full floor of the Assembly and the Senate. And each house will then argue, listen to more testimony, and that'll be the testimony of volunteers, but also we'll bring in expert, like even our president, Mark Meckler, may come in, or Michael Ferris will come in. Senator Rick Santorum is also on the national team. So the three of them travel around to state to speak to the legislatures on the issue. Right. They'll also listen to opposition testimony, why there shouldn't be, and we're going to get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Right. Exactly.
So, but the process to finish that, the process, then the full floor will vote up or down in both houses. So when the assembly will say votes up, that puts pressure on the Senate, right, and vice versa. So, and then to date, we have 19 states that have passed their application to Congress,
which I think is pretty huge. I mean, just that explanation kind of shows how the process to get a state to vote yes, like the backing that you have. So if you have a state that technically signed on to the Convention of States, that means there's a lot of backing to that in that state.
Yes. Oh, so one state you multiply, or you can multiply the 19 states by all the votes that it took to pass the application,
right,
times all the volunteers that petitioned those legislators.
Right.
That's a lot of volunteer work, hard work.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a lot of volunteers that have educated themselves to become very sharp with the information of Article 5.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's, and the fact that there's 19 that's on. How many states are kind of in the works right now? Do we know?
Oh, yes, we do know. Excuse me a second. We were listening in Maryland today live to I think it was Senate committee hearing, was just today. They didn't vote, but they took testimony, and they usually don't vote on the day of testimony. They'll usually, because they've got so much business to do,
right,
they'll, after all the testimony's done, then they go on to the next bill or resolution that they've got on the docket, and then they schedule the voting. So hopefully it'll be within the next week that they'll vote on that.
Great.
So I have Kansas Senate Committee on March 13th. That was a no vote. Okay. So we do win and we do lose, but we're winning more than we're losing.
That's good.
So North Carolina House floor passed on March 8th.
Okay.
Iowa Senate Committee hearing passed February 28th.
Okay.
Wyoming Senate Committee passed February 2nd, and the Senate floor. So Montana Senate floor third reading vote was tied on February 1st, so it couldn't pass. So whenever there's a tie in the voting, it doesn't pass.
Right. Okay. Got it.
So then
now, does that get like recycled? Does that go back to like the bottom of the stack, and then
right?
Like, how does it work?
Kind of does. You have to wait till the next legislative session.
Got it.
So that'll be next year.
And it's like resubmitted.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So our resolution in New Jersey is 2 years long. It moves with the legislative session, which is 2 years long. So,
okay.
So we're going to have elections in November, and then the resolution has to be renewed.
Got it.
So our primary sponsors will definitely renew that. They've been doing that for year after session after session.
Got it.
For about 3-4 sessions so far, I think. Just a wild guess. Don't quote me.
Okay.
Kansas House hearing 2 days. February 15th through the 21st, advanced and passed a House committee. Virginia passed House committee on January 31st. Maryland passed House committee hearing February 3rd. Rhode Island committee hearing, no vote in Maryland, and upcoming is Maryland, which was today. So there is a lot of activity.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like majority of the people want something done.
Well, they do.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's passing the majority of the larger number of votes, right? I mean, like, because state senate is a little bit smaller than the
Yeah, I'll put it this way:
House.
the desire of the people is there.
Right.
Right.
Number one, you've got to get people to understand what this does and how it works.
Right.
All right, just like you were saying earlier, some people, it takes you a little while to understand. But as you can see from Bob's explanation, this is not a mob scene. This is an organized effort to petition a legislation
Yeah.
to go forward. And we have to do that in every state.
Sure.
And you have to have enough people supporting it in every state. And you'll find that more, I would say, conservative states, people were quicker to accept and to realize that this was their opportunity.
Sure.
I think it's a little bit harder in, I would say, less conservative states.
But, that kind of leads me to a question I have later on. It shouldn't be. This isn't something that is, what is it? What's the word I'm looking for here? It doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat, conservative or liberal. This is really just.
It's the people.
It's just the people. Yeah.
Absolutely.
This isn't a party.
No,
Not at
type
all.
of thing.
We do not check party affiliation.
Yeah.
When we talk to people, we'll set up at street fairs, car shows, or wherever we're invited. We never check party affiliation, and it is a nonpartisan. It's a structural issue.
Yeah, nonpartisan was the word I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a structural issue because it's from the Constitution where we derive our laws.
Right.
It's where we derive the way we want to live together. The word Constitution comes from the word statute or statue. Okay. So this is what we've put up.
You're okay.
This is what.
Actually, you might want to move it to your left a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Or to your right. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Keep going. No, sorry, your left.
There we go.
Keep going. Yeah, because when you're talking to me, yeah, we're just talking to it.
He might be Italian. I thought I was.
So what I'm saying is, the Constitution is what we've stood up and have agreed to live by.
Right.
And if it's not meeting our needs, or if government has gone awry, then we have the ability, the people have the ability, through their state legislators,
mm-hmm.
to make a change.
Right.
And that's right from George Washington, and I love this. And this kind of brings us to where the country is today. It says, "If to please the people we offer what we ourselves disapprove, how can we afterwards defend our work? Let's raise a standard to which the wise and the honest can repair." They always knew that the Constitution would have to be repaired. Times change, people change, things change. And the basics of the Constitution were for the people to have more of a say and to have a limited federal government.
Right.
Now, as I said earlier, that changed. So now you have to repair it. And that's what, again, it brings us back to another convention of states. Without a convention of states, we never would have had a constitution in the first place.
Right. And there's only been one convention of states, right?
Well, technically, there have been 42.
Okay.
Tom hates it when I say that. There have been 42 convention of states, the first one being in 1677 and the last one being in 2017.
This episode of the Anderson Analysis is brought to you by A to Z.com. A to Z.com is a vendor distributor that relies on its international relationships to bring quality, healthy products devoid of harmful chemicals to the West at competitive prices. A to Z.com researches and inspects each of their manufacturers to ensure they are operating under good business practices, as well as ensuring their ability, should the opportunity arise, to fill any size order in a timely fashion. A to Z's product line ranges from some of the best and tastiest coconut waters sourced out of the tropical landscape of Sri Lanka to their healthy cooking line of premium cast iron cookware products. Find relaxation while burning one of A to Z.com's completely natural herbal incense, followed by a relaxing sleep under the covers of their 100% cotton bedsheet sets. And let's not forget about A to Z.com's line of mobile and PC accessories like mice and keyboards, chargers, cables, and an 8-in-1 USB HDMI hub. I use the full product line daily. Okay.
But the convention of states that we're calling for would involve all 50 states. The latest ones since the founding have been only partial states that have been gathered.
Okay, so it hasn't been like a countrywide thing.
Hasn't been a 50-state convention. Correct.
Do you have what would something be?
Okay.
Like, what would an example be of that?
Well, in 2017, the convention which was in Phoenix, Arizona, proposed rules for an Article 5 convention to propose a balanced budget. So that's been an issue that's come up again and again and again in Congress.
Right.
Balanced budget amendment, which never has been passed. And even lately, there was a chance to get into term limits, which never got legs. Denver, Colorado, in 1946-49, negotiate the Upper Colorado River Basin Compact. So that Rio Grande River Compact also was 1928. So the states that were affected were brought together to discuss those issues.
Okay. Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
But they were conventions of states. Back in 1677 was Indian negotiations.
Okay.
So they could be, the states have the ability, the right to gather themselves for any issues that they share.
So it's almost like they're almost It's almost like they're making
right
treaties amongst themselves or something.
Just we're ironing things out.
Yeah.
But
technically, it's a convention of states.
It is a convention of states,
Gotcha.
but that we're looking for a 50-state convention, in which has not happened since the Constitutional Convention.
Got it.
So what we're talking about is a convention of states. Our opponents, I think, purposely will call it a constitutional convention. It is not a constitutional convention.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
And to sum up, before we get into like the meat of the whole thing, you would need 34 states to sign on to have a convention, right? A convention of states.
Mm-hmm.
38 yes votes to ratify what it is that you're trying to ratify.
And to clarify that, you're correct. The ratification doesn't happen at the convention.
Okay.
Right. No laws get passed at the convention.
Right.
It's an amending conference.
Sure.
We're just talking. We're just having a conversation. The legislators or whoever the legislatures choose to represent them.
Right.
And those representatives will literally carry a commission. It'll have the rules for them written, so they'll understand what they can do and cannot do as a representative for their state.
And that is what would prevent a runaway convention, correct?
That is one of the guardrails, as they like to use as terminology.
Sure.
Yeah.
And,
go ahead.
And one of the other factors is you have to think, if it takes 34 states
right,
just to be able to call the convention, all 50 states are invited.
Of course.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, there have been, actually, when the Constitution was written, the delegates from Rhode Island didn't come. There were 13 colonies. Okay? it was 9 yes votes that created the Constitution. So if you move that to today,
Sure.
it takes the 34 to call for the convention. All 50 states attend. They send their delegates. If they want, somebody doesn't want to, you may have somebody say, no, we're not sending our delegate. That's fine. That's up to them.
Right.
But at that point, when you have the majority vote, 75% of all the states say, yes, we want it, well, they've wasted their vote.
Right. Of course.
And then that's when the ratifications go into to be created.
Gotcha.
So that's also another reason why you can't have when people say a runaway. How do you get 75% of a country to run away?
Right.
Because the legislators can only present what? What's presented for that.
Yeah.
They're not going to change it. They can't change it. It's written in the codes.
Right.
So the idea of something being
extra or added in, or just
or
something becoming tyrannical is
correct. Or other
really.
people say, oh, we're going to, you're going to dominate the hearings. You're going to dominate the convention. No, because everybody gets a chance to speak.
Right.
All the legislators from all 50 states will be discussing the exact same items that helped call the convention. Nothing changes.
A runaway would be the commissioners speaking outside of their commission.
Got it. Okay.
To which they can be recalled.
Recalled,
Okay. Oh, okay.
They could even be prosecuted.
Okay.
So I've listened to many of the state hearings and arguments, debates, pro and con, and many of the states have written into the resolution the rules that they want their delegates, their representatives, to follow, and what they would want the rest of the states as well to follow.
Okay. And just to reiterate, it's term limits, fiscal responsibility, which I think is pretty broad. I think that's a pretty broad.
Yes.
I like. Is that something that could be ran away with? Like where? What do you mean by fiscal responsibility?
Oh, good. Okay, so our opponents have criticized us for being broad or to being general rather than specific. Like something specific would be a balanced budget amendment.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
It's one-dimensional. All right, to balance the budget, which is a good thing because we all have to do that at home. But fiscal responsibility or fiscal restraints would mean would deal with taxation.
Okay.
Would deal with
Now, is this listed anywhere, or is this just?
no.
It's not right. Okay, I just want to be sure. Like
That's correct. So any number of proposals for fiscal restraints could be written and voted on.
okay,
So you could have 10 proposals on fiscal restraints alone because finances get pretty broad and confusing, and we're taxed as much as 40% on our income at the moment.
yeah. I mean, I think the stat is you work till May for free.
Yes.
I think, or
Yeah.
almost June now. I'd say.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's 6
Right.
months.
So, you're getting taxed on top of tax.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Right. Everybody knows that.
See, and some fiscal restraints is also what can a Congress or president do with our monies?
Right.
Because if you take a look at your tax dollars and where they're going today,
The people should have something to say about that.
Yeah.
Not to Ohio.
no. I was a little upset that I was paying some foreigners' pension plan,
Yeah, I thought that was kind of crazy.
Yeah. Right. And
And if that is the case, why would you even admit it? Like, why would they hit that?
Because
I think that's like a spit in the face. But
Yes.
well, see what that brings to is the situation of the old expression: absolute power corrupts absolutely.
yeah.
And so they're at a point they don't care. Why? Because who is going to challenge it? A congressman? A senator? Look at all the hearings we've been having.
I know.
And you know what? All the frustration I get from people is, yeah, well, all they're doing is they're having hearings, and nothing changes.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So again, it's the people.
It's political theater.
The
I think
people
at that
will
point.
make the change.
Right. We in Convention of States, we understand that it's the responsibility is ours to see that change is made. We recognize what's happening in the federal government as the problem, all up and down, in it, all throughout.
Oh yeah.
So we were talking about the three.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, fiscal
items of-
responsibility.
Right. Term limits, is general as well. Now, initially, we would most likely think of term limits for Congress right away.
Yes.
Well, that's true. It would be for the senators and the representatives. But it can also be term limits for the judiciary. It could also be term limits for appointed heads of departments. Thank you.
That's interesting.
Right, they're not elected.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah,
They're
see,
appointed.
I automatically thought of elected officials, not appointees.
Right. It's our elected officials that have given their appointees the power to make law, enforce law, and levy fines on people. And
Right.
that's not the way that the founders started.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that.
Right.
That's something
Like-
to think about.
like the-
I mean, I
yeah.
firmly believe that term limits are important. I think term limits are important to get in the way of corruption. To be honest,
Yeah.
I think if you're gonna at least give the people that are doing the corrupting, like, make them fight for it a little bit, because once they corrupt someone and they're there for as long as they cheat and maintain winning, or quote unquote winning, they're just corrupted forever.
Well, you got to think, it's a good point that you may want to take out the people that are corrupt and the people that cheat. Okay? And maybe you get successful and you vote them out. But then the people that they've appointed are still there.
True. Yeah,
So-
that's true.
So that's why it could entail more.
Yeah, but yeah.
So that's what the discussion becomes.
Well, maybe it doesn't have to be lifetime.
Well,
I mean, they're not all lifetime appointments outside of.
but many of them become lifetime appointments. We've got people in positions for 40 and 45 years.
Right.
The judiciary is lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess everyone is, right?
Mhm.
Every.
Yeah, that was created at a time when most people lived to 55 or so, and now it's a completely different story.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to think about, and it can't hurt.
No, well,
I don't think term limits on everything could hurt.
and
Right.
I don't think it could hurt.
It just needs to be discussed,
Yeah,
and then you come up with a solution.
sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone should be, especially in politics. Like, it's you're not supposed to make a whole career out of it.
No, the original representative that was elected was expected to serve a term, maybe two, and then go back to his own.
And go back
his
to
own
work.
business. Go back to work.
Yeah.
Right.
So the only way you can get people to stay there for 40 and 50 years is if they're making a heck of a lot of money.
If they're corrupted.
There you go.
And it is from top to bottom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's corrupted. Yeah. It's,
When we're at fairs talking to people, do you want to sign our petition for term limits? Yeah, nothing. Don't tell me anything else. That's enough.
right. Yeah. No, I think that And again, that's something that I think has been around for a very long time, and the people that actually do the voting on it aren't voting on it.
Right.
You know, I mean, who's going to vote themselves out of work?
There you go.
And I've heard the argument from good people that support Convention of States even will say, well, there's good people in these offices that we've elected, and we don't want to lose them. True. But there are many good people coming up. And we have a lot of new representatives in Congress right now that are on fire. And so that argument goes down the drain with that.
Yeah, I don't even though they're great, they could be responsible for helping choose the next person, or that they think would do an equally good job.
What do? You get a protege.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And they follow in your footsteps.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, term limits is a no-brainer.
Right.
It's a no-brainer. I'd say term limits, fiscal responsibility, and what was the third?
Federal overreach.
Federal overreach. Very broad as well,
when
right?
I started with Convention of States, I really struggled with what federal overreach was. For a few years. Not anymore.
It's clear as day.
It's clear as day. Everybody understands that when you're being required to have a digital card,
right,
to use for everything. You go down the gas station and a second time in a week or a second time in a month. Who knows? If you haven't behaved yourself, you're not getting gas. You put the card in, it's going to say
that's coming down. That's around the corner. That's coming down the pike. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to try it, and I think it's going to be up to the people to reject it.
Right.
Because I was just reading a couple days ago about a couple people in China. There was a protest, and they wanted to go and see, and apparently it was discovered, and they got to the metro.
They couldn't go.
The cards don't work.
Cars don't work.
They went to this grocery store. Card didn't work.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a scary, scary proposition.
Right. Even before that extreme example, which we're looking at, the federal government buys off the states. They've been buying off the states for decades. So here's money for you, but you have to follow what we want you to do.
Right.
So it's corruption, and the legislators love the money coming in. Now in New Jersey, we're not getting back from the federal government as much as we're giving them, which is another whole issue. But it is real, and we're feeling it. Very expensive state. But just that the federal government owns approximately 60% of every state.
Okay.
And so the state lines are slowly being erased.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not the way it's supposed to be. The people in Alabama live much differently than we do in New Jersey.
Right.
And they have their own issues, and they should be able to decide on what's good for them.
Right. I agree. And I 60% of every state. Sounds about right. It should be probably closer to, like, what would you say, 15, 10?
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Percent of everything?
I would be very happy with that.
Right.
Right.
The National Education Association, when it was established, the average grade point for every student went down nationwide ever since it started.
Yeah, the government hasn't ever taken over anything and it got better.
No.
Right.
I mean, that I can remember, and that's 41 years. All right, let's see. Moving on a little bit. So there's a lot going on with Convention of States, obviously. And you had mentioned before one of the key contributors to the success of Convention of States is the volunteer force behind Convention of States.
Right.
How many volunteers did you say you had? That wasn't the 5 million, was it?
No.
Do you know? Do you have a number of volunteers? Like, do you know how many?
The number of volunteers in New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey, obviously.
Okay, is somewhere between 75 and 100.
Okay. And that covers the host. Okay.
Right. Now, in the Northeast, we have over 7,000 petition signers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great. Those are supporters, and we appreciate them, and we're always reaching out to them with announcements for meetings or podcasts or things, webinars that are coming along so that they can educate themselves a little more. So the bottom line for volunteers is education, which we spoke on earlier.
Sure.
Right. So, but out of those 7,000, there's probably about 30 that are active volunteers. Very active volunteers.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
And across the entire country, when you talk about volunteers, now we have volunteers, like myself, like Bob, where we're trying to hold meetings, seminars, wherever we can, different events, we go to that. And what we're trying to do is this volunteer group raises awareness.
Got it.
Okay? But there are people doing other things. The Convention of States Action, and that's what it's called, Convention of States Action. Our group has people that go to schools. The day I wasn't able to attend the meeting with you, there was a video from a training session, which was awesome. And I didn't know this. Every school that takes money or from federal government, so the federal government gives the state money, that money goes to different schools. Every one of those schools needs to have a class on the Constitution. Now we have volunteers calling up school systems. Hi, I'm with Convention of States. I know that your requirement is to have a day where the Constitution is presented to your students. Are you in compliance?
Oh, that's great.
And no, well, I'd like to help you stay in compliance and come down, and I'm offering my services to do a class on the Constitution. And they do it from grade school through high school.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's just one type of volunteering.
Is there any school, do you know if there was any school that actually did have a class?
Oh, yes. Yeah, across the country, there have been plenty of them.
No. I mean, like they were, like the volunteer didn't have to go do it. There was already a class taking place.
That I don't know.
I don't know.
I can safely say no.
I was going to say, I didn't ask that question.
That's tough.
I missed that one.
Yeah.
Right.
I can safely say no.
Maybe a couple years ago, but right now.
Yeah, not now.
I went right to the assumption that she was doing them all.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, it's fair to assume that, but yeah, I could say that there was. Wait, what do you mean? We have to do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is. But you made a good question, and we should take advantage of that. Absolutely. Yeah. And so this is part of volunteerism.
Right.
Each volunteer can be involved as deeply as they wish.
And where they're comfortable, too.
Okay.
Right. So if you want to make change, nobody's going to tell you what to do.
Sure.
You've got to take initiative.
Right.
And what Tom was speaking of is a place where someone could take initiative. Now we have a event this coming Saturday, the 25th. Someone took initiative to reach out to Bill Spadia of 101.5, right? Mm-hmm. They took initiative to find a place to have a town hall. There were others, many people on our team, volunteers, taking initiative to put this thing together, and he's going to be a guest of ours. We're going to have a volunteer panel that'll speak about Convention of States like we are today. And then Bill Spadia is going to be speaking at this event as well. So
at least he's a Convention of States backer, right?
Yes, he is. Okay. Very strong supporter. And this is open to the public. So if people want to come, they can go down there. Let me see. What is that? The place where they can find the registration, either it's on Facebook at Facebook COS Project NJ.
I'll you know what, after this, if you want to text me all the links and stuff or email it to me, I'll put them all in the description.
Sweet.
Everything that we have to do. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
So if anybody doesn't want to listen to it, they can just read.
That's right.
Yeah, that's all.
And it's pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
So Convention of States has a Facebook page, as
Right.
well as a YouTube page or channel.
We'll link that as well. Well, all the links we'll put in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll share them far and wide.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you find that you get your most well, let's see. I want to say where do you recruit most of your volunteers, and where would you say you get most of your signatures? In what kind of events?
Well, it's all kind of events. We did a car show. We've done.
And let me kind of build on that a little bit. What type of person would you say are most of your signatures? Are they older people, younger people?
Right.
Could you break it
a
down?
mix.
We believe in gender here, so it could be male and female. It's okay. We could discuss.
Yes. No, it's a mix. It's a pretty good mix.
Okay.
Young, old, men and women. And like I said, we don't ask about party affiliation. So the street fairs of all sorts, as Tom was saying, we do Wayne Day, Hasbrook Heights Car Show. We've done Quick Check Balloon Festival. We've done every town in New Jersey has a fair.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So we try to get in as many of those as we possibly can. We also have been to county committee or clubs, like Republican Club.
Yeah.
We have not gotten our invitation by any Democrat club, and we're open to every person, every group.
It's so sad.
Yeah,
It
sad.
doesn't make any sense, but yeah. I get
we
it.
would like to.
Yeah.
We would like to. We know that there are Democrat people that agree with what we have.
It's not the party, it's the mentality.
It's the mentality.
And when you find the people with that mentality, the recognition that things are wrong, the recognition that we have to have a change, and the recognition that we're the only ones to do it.
Yeah.
I will say that for myself, I have found that the people that I tend to be able to reach, now most of them, when I talk to them, they'll agree and yes you to death. Okay.
Yeah.
But I've had people, and in fact, the one time we were at the Lodi car show, I had a lady complain. We said, "Oh yeah, this is terrible. This is would you sign our petition then? It goes right to our legislator stating we want to change. Oh, it's not going to do anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you sign it, it'll help. No, I don't want to do that. Now, she was an older woman. Okay, very nice. So we said, well, you know what? Appreciate it. Thank you very much. But it seems to me that if people that are more, I'm trying to think of the right word for this, but unbrainwashed from where they get their information and seek more information to find out what's true.
Yeah.
Those seem to be the people, because everybody I talk to says, yeah, I saw that. Did you read this? Oh, yeah, I read. And so they are more educated as far as what's going on.
Right.
Those are the people. And it does, and like I said, they are Democrats. They are Republicans. They are independents.
I would imagine it's fewer Democrat. That was the problem. It should be 50-50 down the line. There's no reason why. There is no reason. There's no reason why someone should not want term limits and less government interference and overreach and fiscal responsibility.
But a lot of people are comfortable. They've always been there for us.
No, the problem is they get told that those are Republican things. They're not. They're just not American things.
That's right. It's the Constitution, and both the Democrats and Republicans say, "Don't mess with my Constitution."
See, another argument that I came across was in reference to the Convention of the States is, why are we trying to ratify the Constitution when we should just focus on following it more rigidly? Because it is safe to say that the Constitution is getting, I don't want to say overlooked, but I mean, they're really pressing the boundaries as to what is constitutional and what isn't.
But see, that is why I read that paragraph
earlier.
Right.
So
people say, I don't want to change the Constitution. well, you're not following the Constitution because
No, I agree. I mean, it was written by the founders just for that reason. But I think it is safe to say that these lawmakers are making laws that just aren't the Second Amendment laws, for instance. That's not constitutional, but yet they're all being made
Right, through the courts.
through the courts. And
Right.
yeah, that's true.
Through the courts, not through Congress.
No.
They've tried, and done all that they could.
The court of popular opinion is very strong.
Yes, that's correct. And so politicians have always aimed their rhetoric
Yeah,
at the people
exactly.
because they want the people's support. And so that gets all the way around back to the Convention of States, because for ratifying, it's going to need the people to back it.
Right.
So for 34 states is hard enough to get together, because we've been assembling the 19 since 2013. We still need 15 more.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So how many years is that going to take? And so people.
Well, that's part of the problem. I just
right. It
we
should
don't have
happen.
the, we don't have
like,
the time.
Right. So in the beginning of Convention of States, they thought that it would take 4 or 5 years to get all
Yeah.
the states, because to them it was a no-brainer that
Right.
this was really needed, and the problems that we had then were nothing like the problems that we have now.
No.
Right. So
let me.
yes.
The point is where people have to become more educated, and at times people don't see it until it hits them in the face.
Right.
I'm going to give you an example. I mean,
Yeah, unfortunately, that's just nature.
when my wife and I were first getting into a little more discussions about politics, I'm very independent-minded. I want to be left alone, and I want people to be and work together. And then when I said, but there is no Democrat Party or Republican Party. It's a uniparty. They're all the same. Oh, what do you mean by that? And at first, she didn't understand a lot of things, but she started to, oh, you know what? Give me something. Tell me about this. I'll read this. I give her stuff. She came around. She says, I never really thought, because I grew up in a Democrat family. In my family, we only have one. Okay?
I had a lot.
Yeah, mostly. My mother and father were Democrat.
Yeah.
Okay, my oldest brother is a Democrat. He's a member of, he was an arbitrator for NJEA. He was a principal.
Ooh.
He was in the school system. And
Belly to beast right there.
yeah, and he and I have discussions. Sometimes they were a little cantankerous because I'm totally in the opposite direction. You know what?
Oh, this is an explicit podcast, by the way. You can say whatever you want.
Oh, okay. So, but
If you want to curse someone out, you can.
no,
By all means.
No, but what I noticed is that I didn't want the contention of I'm right, you're wrong. You're right, I'm wrong. And that's where it became. So it was better not even to have that discussion.
Yeah.
Because it was creating a division, just like in a family is what we have in the country. We have a division where people were set in their ways. They saw things in a certain light, and you're not going to change them. And I think some of them don't want to change.
Yeah. I've always seen the issues and disagreements. I'm a proponent of I want choice. Mm-hmm. I just want to be able to choose what I want to do for me. I don't care. If you want to do whatever you want to do, I may disagree with it, but go do it. That's fine. Just don't force me to do it, or don't try to change the laws to make me do it.
Right.
And that's how I feel about it.
That's
the root of it all.
That's the root of self-governance, of natural law.
Right.
Like for me to come along and say, Mike, you have to go pick up those things.
Yeah.
For one man to rule over another is not what God has given us.
No, I agree.
And so in all our discussion about the Constitution, it's good to not neglect the Declaration of Independence. The Constitution was born out of the Declaration. But the Declaration is much different. The Declaration is kind of the spirit of the law, where the Constitution is the letter of the law.
The letter of the law, right.
So, each of them start differently. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. The decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to that separation. So, as Americans, no matter where you fall in your persuasions, as Americans, we share this.
Right.
We do all share this, and there's a sense of civility in people's neighborhoods. You might have a bad neighbor that's a jerk, but
Who doesn't?
right. But we still respect one another, respect one another's property. That's natural law.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need anyone to... If you're not a criminal, you don't need other people to tell you how to live, how to work, be responsible, and take care of your family.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's what people want. I hear it again and again and again. I just want to be left alone.
Yeah. That's all I want to do is be left alone. Just leave me alone.
Right.
Well, you have to have enough people getting together, standing shoulder to shoulder and toe to toe, and say, "Leave me alone."
Yeah.
Right. Because
That's what we're trying to do, right?
since time and eternity, there have been evil men that want to lord it over others and rule them and cause them pain.
Yep.
And we're all here scratching our heads. Why?
One day we'll have another discussion. We'll go back to when the country finally got independence, and everybody, I asked people, I said, "Have you ever played football?" And they go, "Yeah." I said, "So you lose a game. What's the first thing you're trying to figure out for next season? How to beat that team."
Yeah.
Okay?
How you lost, right?
When we gained our independence, okay, and we were able to move away from Britain, France, other countries' influences,
Mm-hmm.
do you think they just sat back and said, "Oh, we lost"?
Mm-mm.
No, it's an ongoing thing. It's been going on, as Bob said, time immemorial. It just goes on.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we lose sight of what we need to learn from the past and
Right.
understand where it's...
Well, people don't realize that they're a mark. And real brief, I think I even mentioned this in the last meeting I was at in Wallington. And I asked if we could watch that video about the difference between a democracy and a republic, which I thought was brilliant. And it's that type of mentality where the psyop that's going on, everywhere you look, people are constantly referring to, and I'm talking about like right and left, the Republican, Democrat, everybody says it, that American democracy is under siege, and we're at risk of losing American democracy. And I sit there and I scratch my head. It actually gets me kind of angry. It really does get me angry because we're not a democracy. Our founders fought against the idea of democracy because it could lead to tyrannical government, which we see that it is.
It always does.
It always does. I mean, it's just it's historical, and it's accurate. Their predictions were accurate. And like I always tell people, it's kind of funny. It's in our flag salute.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We're
to
a
the
republic.
republic.
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't say to the democracy.
Yeah.
And I just can't. And it goes back to the court of popular opinion,
Right.
that if you tell enough people that we're a democracy, they're going to automatically believe it. And then it doesn't matter what the law says because majority of the people are going to be doing that anyway.
And that, I was going to say, the influencers out there in our political sphere are great with redefining what we are, redefining words and meanings, okay? And
biology.
yeah, and biology. Well, I wasn't going to go there, but I
am. I'm.
when I sit
nuts.
down and somebody says, "Oh, come on," you know what? I hear somebody on TV, this is a threat to our democracy. Well, what is a democracy? It means mob rules.
Mob rule.
Okay, so yeah, it is a threat to your mob rule then. If you want to bring it out that way, I'll bring it out and say,
That's
yeah,
true.
it
That's
is
a
a
good point,
threat to your democracy because your democracy you're a mob.
Yeah.
You're ruling, and you want your rules to affect me.
Mm-hmm.
No, I live in a republic where my voice is no more important than Bob's voice or anybody else's.
Mm-hmm. Well, you said it before. It was more like they want to make, like, Alabama and New Jersey are two totally different places, but they want to make everywhere California and New York.
Right.
And that just isn't the way life is supposed to be. But we're getting a little off track. I kind of want to get back a little bit to the mention.
Yeah.
And what
It's a great conversation.
what are some of the I have it written down here, some of the goals that you guys have for Convention Estates in 2023 moving forward? Like what are your goals for this year? I know
For Jersey or for the country?
if you could speak for the country, go for it.
Well, we would like...
Or both would be
right,
ideal.
Right. Nationally, we would like 4 or 5 more states to pass their resolution this year. We're
14 would be nice.
15. Yeah. So that would, so it's hard to say. I ran off earlier, the movement in the different committees.
Right.
And floor votes in so many states there. It looks like 6, 10, 11 states. That's a lot of states that are moving along with our resolution. So we've got high hopes, but you never know what's going to happen. The legislatures can be a little funny sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To say the least. Yeah.
Right. In New Jersey, we are doing better at connecting with our Democrat legislators.
Good. Okay, that's good to hear.
Yes. So we are currently putting together a Convention of States informational packet that we will hand deliver to our Democrat and the Republicans if they like it. Of course, we've got a lot of support in the Republican side. So we want to, and it's all about education. The legislators have so much on their plate on a daily basis that many of them don't know or understand what a Convention of States is or what it could do for the state. So we're putting together a legislative packet for them.
To educate them.
Right.
That's good. Yeah.
So it's a start for that. We're kind of excited about that. So having a hearing in one of the committees, either the Senate or Assembly, is a goal for 2023.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. That seems like it'd be a pretty big move.
Right. And to gain as many as 55,000 petition signers.
There you go.
And where are we at now?
We're at about 44, 45.
Okay.
Yeah, 45.
So we need 10, 11,000 more.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. And you were asking earlier, may not have answered quite directly, where do we get the most petition signers are at street events.
Okay.
Fairs. Every town has a fair, whatever. That's where we get a lot of petition signers. And it's a lot of fun for the volunteers. We get into a lot of conversations. It'll make you sharp in talking about Convention of States. And then we'll put their information into our data bank, and then we call them. So everybody gets a phone call and an email, so they'll have the links. Because we'll hand out materials, and it'll have the web address, or our business card have the web address, but we'll send them an email, and we'll have those links there as well. Right. And we continue with another follow-up call to try to connect with them. My wife and I, we signed the petition 2 years before we volunteered. And it was because of the volunteers doing their job, coming back, giving us another phone call. I don't remember the first phone call if I had gotten one.
Right.
But in any case...
it worked.
It worked.
Yeah.
And we got into meetings and volunteered.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to get more signatures.
Right.
10,000 more is the goal.
Yep.
Right.
So we're trying to shoot for the stars there.
And
Get over it. Get past that goal.
And that's why we always have events, and we have people come to the events.
Yeah.
But where there's an event becomes our event.
Right.
You have to go to the people.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Because
of course, yeah.
if you know that people are going to be meeting somewhere, it's easier to go meet them. And that's what we need more volunteers for.
Got
Right.
it. Got it.
And then further goal is in the Northeast. I'm Northeast regional captain, and we have 5 district captains. So there's 8 districts in the Northeast. Each we've split up. We organize by legislative district.
Okay.
So because we are appealing or petitioning, lobbying our legislators,
right.
So
makes
we
sense.
organize by legislative district. So in each region there's 8. So I oversee 8 districts, and we have 5 district captains, and I need 3 more district captains.
Got it.
So that's a goal of ours. And another goal of ours for the Northeast is to have meeting places all around in each of the districts. So currently we have 8 meeting places available. Right. So we most recently nailed down a monthly appearance, if you will. It's kind of a loose meeting. We're treating it more like a street fair at Gun for Hire.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember you saying that.
Yes, so we'll be once a month at Gun for Hire. I believe our first time there will be March 29th. I don't have my calendar in front of me. So,
I remember you guys talking about it too. I don't remember what it was, yeah.
From 12 to 3. So we're getting a 3-hour.
That's good. That's a good block of time.
Right. And so we have a meeting room there, and people can come through. There's a lot of people that come through that gun range.
Oh, yeah, I know. I know. A lot.
From New York City, from all around, from far and wide.
Yep.
And so we'll use that as something of a kiosk, like a street fair, where we'll just be able to sit people down and have conversations, show videos.
Sure.
Education is key.
I agree.
Education is so important.
That's why I thought about having this, to be honest, because, you know, this is something that I told you guys doesn't necessarily need to be limited to, well, I hope it's not just limited to, like, my audience, you know, however big that may be, which I don't think it's that big right now. But I would like it. I think people could use this. I think the Convention of States could use this to help them get the information out, maybe condense it, cut it up however they see fit,
right? And
then maybe show it and do whatever they got to do to anyone, you know,
yes,
to people that they're looking to volunteer or whatever the case may be. Because I think we covered a good amount. You know, we broke down the process, the statistics that you're going to need to get to in order to make something like this happen. And my only fear, and I think I mentioned this to you guys prior, my only fear is that the amount of time that it takes to actually see this to fruition is scary to me, because I hope it never gets to be too late. That's the only thing that scares me. So if getting more volunteers and getting the word out there even as much as possible, and getting these petitions signed, and, you know, getting on these legislators is going to negate that, or kind of shut that down a little bit, close it down a little bit. I think that's really, we got to do it.
Very valid feeling, you know, legitimate point that you make.
Yeah.
That is my concern as well.
Yeah.
I am very hopeful, because
so am I.
Because of the people. You know, we are all feeling the crunch coming from the federal government through our state, or however it comes. We're all feeling the difficulty.
It's almost intuition at this point.
In many ways, yeah. So it's only natural that the people will stand up and get involved. And that's the only way that it's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And I have a lot of hope in and feel very positive about our chances for this to actually happen, because of the people. The people love America. People love America. They love what they do. They love being generous. They love being honest. They love being neighbors. You know,
I think you're missing one word, and it's they love being free.
Yes.
Because most countries don't know what it's like. Like,
yeah.
analogy I hear all the time, or the metaphor, however people want to kind of frame it, is that Americans have a tendency to fight because they've earned their freedom where other countries just never even experienced it.
Right.
In the way Americans have experienced it. Now, as for myself, I obviously don't feel like I was as free as, say, my grandfather was. You know, I feel like that I'm over-regulated to the point, you know, with taxes and whatever else, you know, you're paying into the system. Like, I feel like maybe my grandfather, slightly after World War II type people, were like as free as you're going to get. You know, like that was freedom at that point. So I didn't experience that, but even in my lifetime, you know, of 41 years, I've seen just everything is getting taken away and just bound up.
I'll give you some good news then.
True.
Maybe it'll cheer you up.
I hope so.
All right? Besides all the work we do, we're getting a lot of endorsements from people that are well known.
Oh.
Okay? And naturally, the conservatives, the Mark Levins of the world, the
great one.
You know, Marco Rubio, Senator Cruz. There's a tremendous amount of people in our website. If you go to conventionofstates.com, it'll say endorsements. And the list goes on and on. Pete Hegseth is an endorser.
The Princeton professor that actually was on the video that I had you guys watch in that last meeting I was at. He endorses Convention of States. I found that after the fact. Yeah.
And here's something I found was totally exciting. Our new presidential candidate on the Republican side, Vivek Ramaswamy, is an endorser.
Excellent.
A man running for president.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
That stands out in my mind. As soon as I saw that, and that was recent.
Yeah.
I said, "Wow."
Yeah.
In fact, I think that was just on the early in the month. It was the first time I saw his picture on the endorsement page.
Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm. So your question though, how long is it going to take? You could see by these some 10 states activity.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
That's a very good sign,
yeah.
And that's a sign of volunteers working real hard, and it is hard work. Mm-hmm. And what you were talking about earlier about not being as free, it's a good thing to bring out. How did we get to where we are today with the difficulties that we have? It's our comfort level.
Yeah, complacency, sure.
Oh, yes. And not being involved. Our founders meant that we should be involved.
Right. Yeah.
And so I've only been involved for 5 years. You know, I'm as much to blame as anyone else as far as not checking my legislators.
Oh, it's like what you said. And, you know, you just hope it's not you got to get punched in the face before you start to do anything.
Right.
But the expression that people are using a lot now, hard men make for good times make for weak men make for hard times.
Right.
And we go through those cycles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we complain about stuff, but even the poorest person in this country is living far better than people in other countries.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's no.
Okay, and the thing is, people are starting to understand. They're starting to see the what has happened, and basically, it's because we were too comfortable.
Yeah,
I think too comfortable.
There's a level of complacency along with denial. And I think the people that are, I don't want to call them the problem, but the contributing factor to the problem are the people that are complacent and deniers. Mm-hmm. Like they'll watch TV and they'll see what's going on in Australia, Europe, and they'll be like, that can't be true. That's Fox News or whatever the case may be. They're just they're in denial of that it's on their doorstep. Mm-hmm. You know, because they've been so complacent for so long.
It doesn't look like it's on their doorstep, but it is.
It is. You know, it's just hidden a lot better. Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Years ago, we used to know what was going on around the globe.
Right.
Okay? Today, people don't. It's not being shown.
No, it's a lack of information. Yeah.
It's a lack of and that's purposeful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
Okay.
yeah. I mean,
You have to dumb down people, make them happy, and
look at everything that's coming out now with like the January 6th information, like all that information. I still can't understand. Not to go off on a tangent here, but I just can't understand how all this stuff was readily available, and we're just hearing about it and seeing it now. You know, there's obviously a reason for that. Like that's obviously on purpose.
on purpose, because who controlled the information? Who controlled the videos? So now.
Exactly.
It's changing, and I'll tell you what, I think that's going to open up a lot of eyes because I do see more and more little blurbs and clips and memes.
Well, people are starting to ask questions.
Yep.
And they should.
And
that's
they should.
where conversations start. So asking questions and being critical thinkers is very important. It's okay if we disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're supposed to disagree. That's the only way you advance.
That because of figuring things out through disagreement, it makes you think.
Yep.
And looking for how to solve a particular problem in which we could look. Politics is an agreement on how we're going to live together.
Right.
In a nutshell.
Without killing each other.
Right. Well, yes. That's assumed in that. So we were not wanting to get on a tangent with all the difficulties that we have right now. But in the Declaration of Independence, there's the preamble and why they were calling for separation from Britain. And then there's the list of discrepancies that Jefferson put into the Declaration of what Britain had been doing to the nation at that time. And we say, well, that doesn't apply to us. There are people that say Wilson said, just read the Declaration without the preamble.
Woodrow Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson.
Oh, he was like the beginning of the problems.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That was the beginning.
He was the Fed. He found the Fed, right?
Right. That was the beginning of the administrative state.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now we're at a security state. But we could make a list longer than what Jefferson did without any problem. Any one of us could sit down and write that out. So we're really...
He was a real prophet.
Oh, yeah.
Jefferson. He was prophetic in
very
everything
educated.
he said.
And, again, education.
Yeah.
He educated himself. They were all very educated. And they all were Christians. Even those that weren't churchgoers, they still accepted and respected the Christian faith. And the documents, again and again, you could read the writings. It's not like super ancient history where it was written on rocks that we just excavated, a couple of years ago.
Right.
There are books and books of these writings, and we could learn all about what these men were thinking and why they did what they did and how they came up with the Constitution. It's very intriguing.
Well, it's... on that note, I will say I'm not the most religious person. Right. I'm not really that practicing. I'm not saying I disbelieve either. I'm just saying I'm not that religious, but I am a firm believer in the idea that a godless society is a doomed society. And I can only see from, again, in my 41 years, the farther away from religion that society gets, the worse it seems to be. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where we are now.
Well, without a God in your life, you become the ultimate power yourself.
Right. Right.
So when I look and I just say, I'm the ultimate power, it's a scary damn thing. Nope, I believe. I'm sorry. Because I don't want that responsibility because I'm going to screw it up. I know it. I'm going to look for guidance. Thank you very much.
Yeah, ask my wife.
Yeah, but no, I really mean it. Again, I can't stress enough. I say it to my friends all the time. Like, I'm not, overly religious. I don't know. What do I believe in a higher being? Yes, I do. How I get there, I'm not 100% sure, but I do know that the more people that turn away from it, it seems like the worse we're getting. And that all comes down to, and it wouldn't really be my podcast unless I ever had something to say about it. But like, the gender movement is ridiculous to me, and I feel like that is something that's getting away from a basis in religion, you know. And to me, I just think it's crazy. I think people are literally losing their minds.
Well, it's also they're moving away from reality.
Right.
I'm sorry to say.
Well, no, yeah, I mean, that goes without saying. But I mean, everything now is like it's all the all the word, all the pictures, and then the visuals of everything. It's very satanic.
Yeah.
Although that is a religion somewhat in itself, but
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's becoming more prevalent. And listen, I just read. I didn't know it before, but Silicon Valley Bank, right?
Yeah.
They went under. They were a contributor. They were all involved with Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom's wife ran an organization in the school systems, which Silicon Valley Bank gave her money.
Yeah.
And all the stuff that I was actually watching the video that they present in the schools.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And I will tell you this. I would have taken my child out of school if I had a kid in school.
I've been saying that for a long time now. I'm saying, look, you know, homeschooling, and everyone's like, well, how am I supposed to do it? It's impossible. But I'm like, well, find a way.
Find it.
You know what I mean? Like, if you care for kids, find a way.
Right. There is. It can be done. You have to make sacrifices.
You have to make a sacrifice.
You do. And
exactly.
Are your children worth it? You know, the men will like to say, well, if anybody attacked my home, I'll show them. Well, they are attacking your home.
Yeah, they're just doing it. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Through jab, through CRT education, through sex education. Your children are being damaged for life.
I think CRT is ridiculous. I can't stand it. I don't think it's anywhere near as dangerous as the sexualization that kids are getting. Like, that to me is the Satan incarnate. Like, that is just the worst thing you could do to these kids.
It goes deep.
Let them be kids first.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, that goes without saying.
And I hate to say it, but this little contraption
it's terrible.
Is as deadly as you can imagine.
Terrible.
Yeah. That's why mine's bad, because
that's true. I mean, it's as horrible, and I'm not a big fan of China, but I don't know if you guys realize, like, TikTok is like a Chinese app.
Right.
In China, they're not allowed to TikTok.
No.
Nothing. You're not allowed to have a TikTok unless it's educational.
It's 40.
There's no influencing,
and only for 40 minutes a day.
Yeah.
They're limited.
Yeah.
Wow.
And oddly enough, the Chinese are paying these American kids bundles of money just to do stupid shit.
Just the opposite of what they enforce.
Of course.
Brilliant.
Right.
I mean, they're brilliant people. It's just we're the idiots for not seeing. Well, but
Yes.
the general we. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the list goes on.
It goes. Yeah, I mean, we could stay here till
and that's why we are gaining volunteers. Now, there are many other patriot groups that have sprung up since Jan 6, working real hard in human trafficking, teaching people how to run for local office, because local politics affects federal politics directly. Mm-hmm. So getting involved...
I think that's where it starts. Yeah, I think it's local politics is really where...
Right.
But I don't know if you know this. When Trump was president, they started a group. It was, I don't know if have you ever heard of Operation Talon? Talon.
Vaguely.
I don't think so.
Look it up. They went after child and sex traffickers. Mm-hmm. They were so successful, they caught thousands of these criminals. They freed thousands of women and children from slavery and the sex trades.
Yeah, you're not going to read about that anyway.
Wait.
No.
When Joe Biden took over, guess what? One of the first things he canceled.
That.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So we're gathering patriots. We're gathering everyday men and women just like us to join forces with us and with any other patriot group. If you want to work on election integrity, there's that. There are so many different places where you can do work and accomplish things. But Convention of States is the largest grassroots operation.
Makes sense.
Most structured. We have many teaching resources. We have many roles that people can sign up for to be a part of the operation and getting our resolution passed.
Cool.
Yes.
And like I said before, anything that you guys want links to, posted to, whatever, just send it to me and I'll have it in the description of this.
Right.
And there's a COS University right on the website.
On the website, right? Yeah.
People can go in and
Right.
you can take courses
Yeah.
that they hold, and you can watch videos and educate yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great thing about it.
It is. It's a great resource. It is a great resource. So, I've been through it. No. Is there anything else you guys want to hit on? Any other information you think that we missed, or?
No, we covered a lot.
We covered a lot. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
it wasn't as streamlined as I was hoped, but I mean, we hit everything really.
We hit a lot. Yep.
Yeah.
Don't want to miss asking folks to go to conventionofstates.com and sign the petition that we've talked about so much.
Yeah. Can't miss that.
And you can see how to volunteer on the homepage. Is at the top in the middle is the Take Action tab.
Okay.
And that'll open up a page that will show all the volunteer possibilities for
Cool.
you. Right.
Cool.
Depending on your interest, your talents, your skills.
Nice.
But
Okay.
the more people we have, the more work we can do.
Yeah, we're definitely looking for volunteers, right?
Right.
I mean, that's
Right.
something we're getting out. Actually, Jasmine, I would be remiss if I didn't say anything about it. She'd probably kill me. I know, like she had mentioned to you guys, she's actually starting a task force for election integrity, trying to get poll workers, poll watchers, challengers, and I'm sure she would love it. And I think you guys agreed to it already. Just kind of spreading that word as well through the convention of states.
Right.
I would imagine someone that is willing to volunteer for the convention is willing to kind of volunteer to watch the polls
Right.
as well.
We're
They're like
very
usually the same person.
Very like-minded.
Yeah.
In everything. Caring for other community means caring for being involved. You've got to be involved. So first of all, to educate, and then to associate with people. If you're just sitting on the couch,
Yeah.
nothing's going to happen, and that's why we got into the
Oh yeah, you
mess.
can complain until you're blue in the face, but
Oh yeah, up until now, up
Nothing's going
until
on.
I got involved, I was just drinking beer and watching football.
God, football's terrible anymore.
Yeah, I don't keep track.
On the 23rd, we're doing a convention of states meeting in Wallington again.
Right.
And
Wait, 23rd or 22nd?
22nd.
Yeah, 22nd.
Wednesday the
Wednesday the
22nd.
Yeah,
not
22nd.
the
You got me.
23rd. Okay.
I thought there was another event because I was like,
No,
I'm going
no.
to the
Trick
22nd.
question, yeah.
Sorry.
Right.
And what we'll do is I'll make a little notification.
Okay.
If anybody is interested in poll watching, challenging, or whatnot.
Absolutely.
I'll leave Jasmine's name on it, her phone number, and they can sign it, leave their name on it
Sure.
if they want. And
Yeah,
we'll
no,
get it to her.
that sounds fantastic, and she'll love that. And if I'm there, I wouldn't mind. I mean, like I think I had said to you guys, I didn't see very much issues. Actually, the table that I was at, they turned a couple people away because they didn't have the right information, which is something that Jasmine didn't witness on election day. She saw a lot of crap go on.
Yeah.
I actually witnessed it when she went to go vote. She went to go vote, and while she was voting, someone went into her polling station that was a resident of Essex County and a student at Felician University, and she wanted to vote there. And they said, sure, just fill out a provisional. One person said, I don't think you're allowed to do that. Someone else is like, no. She just has to do a provisional. No, they did that twice when I was there within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, to me,
Yeah.
there was no challenger there either.
Right, and again,
We weren't allowed to challenge that.
That's people getting involved.
Exactly. Just have eyes there. That's all
right.
you got to do. Just I'm challenging it, and then you just have your own receipt of I asked about that, and this should be
Right.
This needs to be challenged. This vote shouldn't count.
And is that in
She
writing, the
probably voted
challenges? When you challenge?
I think so. Yeah, I think you actually have.
You have to
You
mark
call a lawyer. You mark it down. You call a lawyer And then they're supposed to do something with it. Like, I'm not exactly sure, to be honest, because I didn't have any challenges.
Right, but it gets recorded.
I'm pretty sure it gets recorded, yeah. It's
that
supposed to get recorded,
on that particular incident.
On that incident, right.
So then,
Yeah.
you accumulate 20 incidents in a day.
Yeah.
Or whatever, then that has to be followed up.
Right. It should be. It should be. That's the whole thing, I would imagine, I'm sure she has it all kind of figured out, but I could safely say that part of this task force is to follow up with that kind of stuff. Like, make sure that gets followed up with, as opposed to just like, I saw it, I challenged it, now it's in the ether.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, this needs to be something that.
And we're short volunteers at these voting stations, right?
Oh yeah, she said. I think she said Bergen County alone had they were short 3,000.
Yeah, 3,000 or 4,000.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. They even upped the pay. I think they were offering almost $400 or something like that to work the polls because they just didn't have enough Republicans.
Right.
So let's see. I was in Lyndhurst, and there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 5 districts, 5 or 6 districts voting in the gym that I was in. I was the only one there.
Yeah.
And I couldn't leave the one table.
Right.
So I could only be at that one table unless if I had some sort of special credentials, I would have been able to kind of walk around. But as far as I wasn't allowed to leave. There's some rules and stuff that go along with this. Obviously, like, you can't talk to any of the voters.
Right.
If they know you and they say hi, you don't have to, shun them. But you're not supposed to talk to any of them. You can't be behind the counter. I don't know. Some of it's like, why not? Why can't I be behind the counter? Like, why can't I be behind them? I have to be off to the side of them. I can't see anything behind the counter. It's ridiculous. I think some of these rules are insane. I know that you're not allowed to ask for someone's identification, but if they offer it, like, you could, I'm sure, you could use your driver's license to sign in, but you can't ask for it.
Right.
Even if something doesn't match up.
Right.
You can't allude to them, well, why don't you use your driver's license? You just have to let it go.
Right.
It's very weird. It's very weird. It's just so they could cheat. It's just so cheating can happen, as far as I'm concerned. But if you guys don't have anything else, I think we covered everything else. So let's just we'll end it at that. This doesn't have to be the last time we get together and do this.
Right. Thank you.
So thank you guys for coming out and kind of sharing and educating me on what exactly Convention of States is, and I'll be sure to...
Did we clear up some things for you?
Cleared up a lot of things for me, yeah. Mm-hmm. I kind of feel like I had a good idea because I've been to multiple meetings, but yeah, it definitely... I feel like I can learn something every conversation, so I think that's a good thing.
Right. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so thank you so much, guys.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank
so long.
Okay, bye-bye.